Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we make custom bone Corian plaques. I recently made a whole bunch of custom bone Corian plaques. Bone Corian is the type of Corian that we used for this project here. So you can see here, it has basically the color of bone. And what you see here is the paint filling that we did after doing the laser engraving. So the process is relatively straightforward. Use your router to cut out the shape. In this case here, this one is 1/2 inch, that you can see here. So you can get Corian in 1/2 inch. Some Corians you can actually get in 3/8, but you cannot get it in 1 inch thick. And what you see here is another plaque for comparison. This one here is about twice as heavy as the other one, and that's because it's 1 inch thick. So the nice thing about Corian is that it's a very durable material for outdoor use. We use it also, in the shop for various signages that we have too much money for. So the nice thing about Corian outdoor is that because it's a very dense material, it makes it kind of heavy. It also gives you a really nice resolution when it comes to paint filling, especially when we do use the laser for it. The reason we use the laser for the paint filling of the Corian is because if we did, let's say, UV printing, that stuff would fade and crack and peel off over time. What we do with the laser is that we actually engrave into it. Now it might be kind of hard to see, or just about impossible to see. Let's see if I get a good picture here. So it's hard to see, but there's actually some depth to these photos and the text, which means that worst comes to worst, the paint filling eventually just, dries, peels, flakes, comes off, whatever. You still have the engraving on the plaque itself. And it's very easy to renew it because all you need to do is put paint over it, swoosh it around, it will fill in the voids that the laser left, and then you basically have a brand new sign. And the nice thing about Corian on top of that is if the sign ever gets really, really dirty or stained, or people spray paint it or any of that kind of stuff, because this will be going outdoors, it's not a problem because you can just sand it. So that's why having a nice depth is important for those reasons alone. So if somebody sort of tries to destroy the plaque with paint, you could sand it off, you clean it off, and you can also redo the paint filling on site. It's not a big deal.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall. Praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's fact. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall.
So let's take a look at the first two plaques. The overall project had 5 plaques. 4 of them are 1 inch thick. And the way we did that is we bonded 2 1/2 inch Corians together, and then you router out, the shape that you want. And then for the 1/2 inch, well, that's just straight off the slab. So the part that's very difficult about this project is that it has a lot of photos, and photos themselves don't present an issue for the laser, just so you know. What does present an issue is when you have older photographs. And with paint filling, you're essentially limited to black and white, like for this kind of application here, or two colors. So the color of the Corian and the paint filling. You can go with multiple colors, and we've done that before here in the shop. But for something like this here, two colors is more than appropriate. These photographs are kind of old, and that was done before they had megapixel cameras, digital cameras. It's really old photography. So a lot of the photographs were actually muddied or blurred. So I tried my best. You know, I spent probably way too much time on these photographs trying to, you know, sharpen them up, trying to get extra detail out of them. Because the resolution that we do with the laser is amazing. But if you have very low resolution images that are muddy, you ended up with basically, you know, just a straight black image. Because the laser is either on or off. There's no in between. So it's not like a gray, if you have, let's say, a grayscale image where you have black, then you have like 100 or 200 shades of gray, and then a white. Well, the laser would interpret all that stuff in the middle as black. So when you do the paint filling, it's just all black, like you don't have any resolution. Now taking a look at the other one, the other plaque. Again, these things are incredibly heavy. They're a nice size too, to give you an idea. So it's almost what, 30 inches across by roughly 16 or 18, depending on the plaque high, if you put it in this direction here. So here you can see other photographs. And again, the photographs were very, very difficult to get to the proper resolution. And again, the reason for that is because they're old photographs. They're scanned a couple of times. You know, they haven't aged the best. So working off that to get a really good photograph takes a bit of time. So what we do now is take a look at the test plates being done that I did before doing the Corian. So as you may or may not know, Corian is a very, very expensive material. It takes a while to get into the shop, especially if you have a specific kind that you want. So in this case, we need a bone Corian. No other Corian would sort of work. And so we had to wait a little bit longer for that to arrive in the shop to form it. Now during that time, I was making test plates of the photographs. I know with the laser, the text is fine. There's no issue with that. It's basically a vector image. But with the photographs, they're not, you know, vectors. You can have jagged edges and all that kind of stuff. So the first part of testing it out was on acrylic. Corian is actually just compressed acrylic. It's the same sort of thing. It just has a lot more consistency to it. And so I did my test plates on white acrylic because that would just sort of pop out to my eye any sort of problems they would have. Bone Corian is basically the color of bone, so it's a little bit more of like a beige to it, while white acrylic is just pure white. So you can see here the initial photographs. Some of them are looking okay, but some of these like this here, that's not going to work. Like this one here is horrible, this one's horrible. You know, some of them right off the bat look really, really nice. And others definitely not anything I'd be proud to engrave here in the shop and send to the customer. So after the first test plate is done, I know which photographs need more work, which ones don't, and vice versa. So then I did a second test plate. And you can see the contrast is a lot better. You see a lot more white and black instead of like straight, just black everywhere. And then after that, I did some more editing and fixing of the photographs to try some other sort of ideas that may or may not work. So you can see we're going back to some of them that are pretty dark, and you don't want that. So when you have, after that was done, I had 3 examples, 3 test plates to work from. And then based on that, I further edited the images to do it on the Corian, because now I knew what areas to watch out for, what areas to improve upon, and so on and so forth. The resolution of the engraving on the test plates is the same as on the Corian. Again, they're both acrylic, they both end up with the same result. It's just dramatically more cost effective to test it on acrylic than it is to do the Corian. All right, let's take a look at two more plaques. So this one here, again, is roughly an inch, well, it actually is an inch thick, and you have two images on it. And I'm just going to focus on the images because text I've done a lot of, as you can see. So everything's nice and sharp, as you can see. And the imagery comes out really, really nice. This one is a little bit tougher. This one I spent a lot of time trying to fix up. But you can only do so much with black and white images that are sort of a little bit muddy. And I'll show you the other plaque. So you can see here. There's the image there, another image there, another one there. So the nice thing about laser engraving all of these is that I'm not limited to a bit diameter. And what I mean by that is if I use my CNC router to do this, the smallest diameter bit I could actually use would be maybe a 1/16 inch bit, which is really, really small, but it's very prone to breaking. For something like this here, as you can see for the text, everything's nice and sharp, and the details are even less than that. And that's where the advantage of the laser comes in. Now, the bad side about that is that the laser takes an incredibly long period of time to actually do the engraving of this. There's no way around that. It's just that's the way the technology is. Our machine is over 100 watts, and that's probably on the upper end of laser engravers. But even at that, you're looking at a day to do each one of these. You have to do multiple passes as well on the Corian because the first one, what it does is sort of breaks the surface. The Corian is a little bit harder on the top surface of it than it is in the rest of the Corian. Maybe that's just the environment getting to it or what have you. And as a result, first pass breaks the surface, second pass does a lot of the engraving, the deeper etching stuff that we do. All right, well, let's look at the final plaque in this project. So again, two pictures. And what I really like is the text. If you look at it, I got it sideways, obviously. But you can see how the text is nice and sharp. And that would be just about impossible to do with the CNC router, even with a dimensional bit. Because what you want is not just sharpness, but you also want depth for the paint filling.